Well, summer's coming around. A lot of people are talking about doing helmet camera work this year. I'm all for it. I want to see your videos. I'm looking forward to it. Problem is, a lot of you guys tend to fail. And I include my own work in this too. So this is sort of a rough guide to doing helmet camera / gun camera work. Now, two things. This is going to be long. I'm sorry. A lot of stuff to pack in here. And second of all, for those people who stumble into this who are not familiar with paintball and what I've done for paintball stuff, I spent basically a year and change doing pretty much nothing but helmet camera work. So if you want to check those out, wherever the information happens to be this year, that's where I'll have links to videos and playlists so that you can check out my helmet camera work that I've done in the past. And then you can kind of draw your own conclusions if it looks good or not. There you are. So first of all, let's talk about the technology. And when I'm mentioning brand names in this, don't take that as an endorsement of the brand name. I'm just mentioning the brand name because I happen to use those cameras in the past. It's not go out and run out and buy one. It's just I happen to use them. And the first thing you want to do is you want to look for gear that's going to match your needs. So for paintball players, well, let me kind of show you this first. This was a birthday present. And take a look at these. Look like normal shooting glasses, but right in the middle there, right there, that's a camera. Right there. And it records to micro SD cards. Whoops, there we go. Micro SD card. And it has a USB port right here. Now, for what I've been using this for is shooting laser tag videos. And it works out pretty well for laser tag videos. Although it would work better for outdoor stuff, mountain biking, snowboarding, things like that. Problem is for paintball, not so much. Because this is all contained here. And so all the audio would be muffled, all the video would be distorted because of the lens, and you know, if you got the glasses part in there, it would fog up like you wouldn't believe. So what I'm getting at here is this would not be good for paintball, but it's good for other applications. So when you're looking for helmet camera stuff, this is not what you want to look for. You want to look for something that's going to be kind of more for paintball. They don't make any specifically for paintball, but a lot of them do work out pretty well. So what are you looking for? First thing you're looking for is something self-contained. All of my helmet camera work that I did in the past was all with a camera that was mounted on the goggle lenses, well, next to the goggle lenses, and there was a wire that went from that into a backpack that held a recording unit, a small little camcorder. And this system was large, it was bulky, it was, well, the wires get caught on stuff, not so much fun. Matter of fact, during this FPS, during this game, yeah, the wires are getting hung up so bad that when I was moving around, I could actually feel the camera tugging, and it was almost becoming a safety problem with my goggles. So, self-contained, much better. There's not many that are going to have wires anymore, but if you get a used one, yeah. Second thing, you want to look for something that's going to have a power source that you can either recharge at the field, or you can replace at the field. Some of the cameras, and this is actually one of them, now that I'm thinking about it, this camera has an internal battery that you have to charge on your computer. And not so great for long duration games. Good for short bursts, but if you're doing something long duration, not so great. Reason is, if you're doing like speedball, it'll probably be fine. Because you're out there for like maybe 4 or 5 minutes at a time, then you can turn the camera off and then turn it back on before the next time. If you're doing a long scenario game, yeah, the batteries are going to die and you basically got a big lead weight on your goggles. And that's not going to do you any good. So you want to be able to replace the batteries or at least recharge them. And the third thing, and this is kind of me being old school, you want to be able to change the tapes out. Most of those, all the self-contained ones are going to record to SD cards, and they're either going to record an MP4 or AVI format, both pretty good. And you have so much memory. And some of them actually have onboard memory, some of them you have to get an additional SD card. You want to get the biggest SD card you can because holding more is better, and if you can have a backup card, that's good too, because something would really suck. You get a whole bunch of really good footage, and then you get to the final battle, and you're out of memory. Not so much fun. So you want to have at least that. Now, if you're really an uber geek, you can bring your laptop to the field with you, plug your camera into that, download, empty out the camera, and then go out and go get more footage. And I've done that. It's ugly, but it does work. So all this in mind, let's talk a little bit about practicing real fast. Something that a lot of people don't do when they get their helmet cameras. They just plant it on their system and they just go. Something you really want to do is practice. Take the camera out, try to actually mount it to the system that you're going to be using it on, and then walk around your house with it. And then take that video and look at it, and there's a reason for that. Let's start with the gun cam, because a lot of times when you have the gun cam on your gun, you don't realize it until you get it home and you realize, wow, the barrel's like half of the screen, and that's not really going to work out that well as far as making decent video. So practicing a little bit, find out where you want to mount the camera that's going to look the best. And sometimes it means you got to buy an aftermarket piece. This one's from Lapco, right here. Just an offset rail for the A5. So when I was doing all the gun cam work, especially Living Legends, this is what I was using. And that's how I got some fairly decent footage from the gun cam at that time. I also experimented with a couple other systems too. For a while I was actually taking the camera and attaching it to the barrel of the gun. That didn't really work out that great. I mean, it was a good experiment, and I got some decent footage out of it, but not really for long-term stuff. So I would highly recommend just keeping it onto the body of the gun itself. As far as goggle cams go, which is what most of you guys are probably going to be doing anyway, putting it onto your goggle strap is what I was always doing. The thing is with that, you really got to be conscious of how tilted the camera is up or down. If the camera is tilted way too high, you're going to get nothing but sky and a little bit of ground, and that's not going to really be making good video for afterwards. What I was finding is that if you tip it down just a little bit, minimize the sky, you get more of the ground, you get more of what's happening in front of you, and it makes really good footage for far away and for close up. But your mileage may vary with that. Now, some people also, they want to put it more centered, because one of the problems I always had was, do you put it on the right hand side or the left hand side? And inevitably, every time I would choose wrong. I'd put the camera on the left hand side, and the cool thing was happening out the right hand side of the bunker. It never fails. Some people actually did put it centered, and for the camera that I was using at the time, I could not, because it was not designed for that. I really don't recommend putting it center, like on top of a visor, stuff like that, because that puts a lot of weight right on top of the visor up here, and it kind of pulls back on the strap, and if it works for you, then go for it, but I was always found it the most uncomfortable. The other thing you might consider doing is actually physically strapping it onto the mask, and then let me show you pictures of this. What I was ending up doing for sometimes is I would actually take small shoelaces, and I would actually physically tie it in the grill of the mask, point it down just slightly, and that would give me a really good shot. And that's how I got a lot of my early footage. But again, this is just experimentation, and this is something you have to do at home before you get out to the field. Actually physically try these dumb things, and then put it on your mask, walk around your house for a little while, take a look at the footage and go, okay, this needs to be adjusted like this or that or whatever. Let's talk about filming with your helmet camera. And this is where people really start to fail on these videos, because they mean well, but they're not doing anything exciting. This is a visual medium. You gotta show me something. You gotta show me something interesting. So the first thing is that you gotta do stuff. That sounds really dumb. But if you're sitting at the back and you're just hammering paint, hammering paint, hammering paint, that's not really exciting. That doesn't really show me anything interesting or unique. You gotta get up there. You gotta make the action happen. You gotta do stuff. And not everybody's a front player. I completely understand that. But at the same time, do something interesting, or at least show me something that's different than everybody else is doing. Which brings me to the second point, and that is talk to your audience. This is just a recommendation from me. But most of the time, the audience is not going to be completely field aware of everything that's happening. And putting text on the screen doesn't always work. The better way to do it is show, don't tell.
Just for the sake of curiosity, and then since it's not mounted on videotape, somebody want to tell me what's going on so that the internet will know too later?
We are basically killing a bunch of people trying to go to the middle to get the flags.
And what you're doing is basically you're now interviewing them. They're going to introduce the scene to your audience, and then you can show the audience what's going on. There's a couple other ways that you can do it too, and I've done this in the past where I'm actually, as I'm shooting, I'm making audio notes to the camera.
Nowhere to go. He's got a fighter ground here.
The end result is that I'm basically talking to my audience, knowing full well that I'm rolling tape, so everybody's pretty cool with it, and it works out pretty well. And this is kind of where your style is really going to come through, because if you're going to be more of a humorist, or you're going to be more of a serious kind of guy, it all kind of depends. Let's talk a little bit about the steadiness. Now, cameras are incredibly steady while they're on your goggles. That's because your neck is one heck of a good shock absorber. The problem comes down to when you plant it on one of these things, my A5. Now, when you do this, a lot of people don't even think about this as they're playing, but they're walking around in the field, the gun's facing down, they're just, looking around in the field, and then when they see somebody, they bring the gun up and they start shooting. Well, the thing is, that means you're getting about 10 minutes of footage of dirt and grass and nothing really exciting, and then, oh my goodness, what's really happening over here? That doesn't work out that well. So this is where things start to get a little complicated, and this is going to take some practice on your end. What you want to do is train yourself to walk down the field with the gun facing up like this. Or more correctly, think of it more of a camera than a gun. So you're actually using it to look around in the field, you're showing the audience what you're looking at, have it trace where your eyes are looking, all that stuff. Sometimes it's going to be unavoidable because in the middle of a shootout, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you have to tuck around a corner or something, the gun has to tip down. That's okay, just as long as you keep that to a minimum. There's a reason why sometimes we call it Dramamine cam, because you can make people seasick quite easily with one of these things. One other thing I should really mention about filming too is that it's just kind of a cool idea if you can talk to the field owner and say, hey, I want to film out here today. Almost all of them are going to be really cool with it. I've run into one or two field owners who's like, yeah, but almost 99% of all field owners are going to be really cool with the idea of filming at their field. Just make sure that you give them some sort of a credit so that there's a little bit of a trade-off there. It's all good. And there's one other thing I do want to kind of hit on here, and that is post-production. Don't just take the footage off your camera and put it up on the net. Edit, edit, edit. Edit your stuff. Please edit your stuff. There is nothing more boring than somebody putting up a YouTube video that's 3.5 minutes long and the only cool part is the last 30 seconds. What you guys don't see on these FPS productions is that I'm spending hours and hours doing post-production. I'm editing out all the parts of walking, I'm editing all the boring parts out, and I'm just basically boiling it down to the cool stuff. And that makes for a better video. You don't have to have Adobe and you don't have to have the high-end stuff to do this. If you've got a basic Macintosh or even if you've got Windows Movie Maker, you can edit. You can bring your stuff down to a manageable size, and that's really the important thing. And I suppose like you got to talk about the bugaboo of copyright. Yeah. If you're going to use somebody else's music in your video, you're going to run into copyright problems unless you have permission to use that music, which most of you are probably not going to have. I'm just going on a limb here. So, with that in mind, there is music that you can use. What you want to do is you want to look up music that is out there with a Creative Commons license. And there's a lot of it out there. A lot of small bands, a lot of indie bands that want to get their name out there. So they allow their music to be used for non-profit use only. It's under Creative Commons licenses. Copyleft, a couple other names for it, but just look up Creative Commons music, you'll find a whole lot of stuff that's really good that's out there. But if you can't get away from using that mainstream heavy metal song that you really, really love, I'm going to just warn you against that, but knowing full well you're going to do it, I would tell you, yeah, be prepared to have ads on your video. I'm just saying. And getting any further than that is going to get me into trouble here, so let's move on. And there's a whole lot of other stuff that I can touch on here too, like angles and stuff like that, and doing other work with your videos and things, but I really don't want to get into that, at least not here and now. If you have specific questions that you say, hey, do a video on this, let me know. Put it down in the comment section below, send me messages. I actually do read these things, guys, so talk to me, let me know. Other than that, that's going to be a basic beginner's course on helmet camera work, but I can't emphasize enough about the editing, guys, seriously. Please edit your stuff down. I'm serious on that one. It looks better when it's edited. I swear, it does.